Once again, we're back for more best of 3 action. Our first opponent is going to be Kalmaran, Kal Harmon, and he's playing the Lizardman. Today, for our faction focus, it's going to be the Dwarves, and we are trying as hard as we can to, we're going to be trying to make Dwarves work. Sort of an uncommon situation, but perhaps today is the day where I can rediscover their greatness. Now, he's gone for a very standard Kroxigor build, and we've been having a hard time versus build a lot recently, but we might be able to win this out. We'll have to see. The front line is just a lot of skinks. Usually you do see a lot of Saurus warriors, but instead a lot of the money went in towards Pterodon riders, and it means that our front line is actually expected to win out here. There are some cavalry units coming in nearby though, which are quite threatening. Not to mention also a Kroxigor Ancient, which is pretty dangerous. And also the flanking skinks are going to be a bit of a problem. My Slayers definitely don't want to be fighting, they definitely don't want to be fighting skinks. Yeah, we need to be moving in our infantry to actually block them. There are some long flanks coming around, which is a good opportunity for our infantry units to reposition here. And if we can get them into place, then we should be fine. This Kroxigor Ancient has dived into our backline, and there's a Manticore summon coming in too. And there is a little bit of a worry that the skinks will be able to shut down my troll hammers. But even if they do, it has actually been a little bit too slow, and we've actually routed off the Kroxigor Ancient. We've also done a decent enough job of blocking all of the infantry here to prevent them collapsing in on my troll hammers. So far things appear to be going okay. At this point though, with the summons and the flyers, my guys have been compromised. But if our infantry can win the frontline fight, then we're not as worried. Problem is though, there are still many Kroxigors still alive, and of course there are some that can come back from routing. We do have Slayers, so right now it feels like the infantry engagement could go either way. It will really depend on let's see, on how well our Slayers are doing by the end of the fight and how many skinks actually make it out of here. So as of right now, a lot of the skinks have taken a lot of damage. We still have our troll hammers online too, so we're feeling decently confident. Not to mention we've also routed off the Lord of the Lizardmen. Some cavalry is coming in, but we have Slayers to engage. And we can also use the troll hammers to help win that fight especially quickly. Kroxigors are moving in along the flank though, but we have warriors, dwarf warriors, just to stall for time. And the time that they buy will be great for letting our troll hammers get in their volleys. Each volley that they do manage to get off is an insane amount of damage. So the fact that they're actually able to shoot right now is quite great. A little bit of a misplay here though. I do let some Kroxigors get past my front line, which will result in my troll hammers once again getting shut down. And our formation is beginning to collapse, but Grombrindle is still healthy too. He'll be able to help in the fight. And I'm still not sure where that Kroxigor Ancient is. Here he is. So he's getting into the midst of combat now. We're going to try focus firing him with the troll hammers. And also just a small tech that I had early in the game. We turned off fire at will to make sure that none of their shots were wasted. I feel like as the Dwarves, you're really maximizing the damage on your range units is very important. And I think that tech will be quite good, but we did miss micro a little bit, so I'm not sure if it paid off in this game. Let's see, at this point, it is just a huge melee in the center. There is much less to control here, aside from sending in our lord here to the correct positions and trying to maneuver the troll hammers, but they're already routing off, and what my opponent should be focusing on is actually chasing them off. As for me, there is definitely a lot less for me to manage. Of course, Grombrindle still needs to be focusing priority targets. I'll have to be careful not to, well, I'm not sure if we can prevent a charge here, but we'll try to counter-charge that cavalry. But yeah, this point in the game here mostly is reaping the rewards of the mid-game. So I think the winner of this match will be mostly decided now, with very little RNG coming into the late game. But it looks like our plays early on seem to have worked. Our troll hammers actually got a surprisingly high amount of shots than usual, and we pull out with a win. So even though yeah, if we just look at the troll hammers, they did manage to pay for themselves, and they were almost only shooting Croxagores. So they essentially did their job. And after that, it was just a win with our frontline fight, leaving a ton of troops to pull out a victory there. I think for our opponent, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this cavalry, and they didn't really do too well. Pterodons were good, but sadly they weren't able to shut down my troll hammers, and the front line definitely was a little bit strange. I do prefer Saurus here, since in the late game they can overrun the dwarf infantry quite well. But nevertheless, it was still a decently close game. But okay, our second match against Carl Harmon. Playing as the Dark Elves now with our second faction focus. And we've opted for a heavy kite build. With us is a lot of cavalry. We have a Hydra for its devastating breath attacks. We'll definitely want to get that on the Marauder Horsemen. And that's basically it. So we're just going to move that around and begin fireballing, I guess, this Shaman Sorcerer of Fire. Such is his pain that a fire sorcerer has to take fire damage. But that's the way of things. Looks like Norskin Warhounds are beginning to move in onto my cavalry, but we can move in to support with our actual melee cav here, and that should go pretty well. Our opponent is very fast approaching, and oh man, it looks like those dogs are actually coming in. We don't want to get charged too hard here, but we can throw down some spells. That should be good. Only problem is though, is that this infantry force for Norska is coming in extremely quickly. So not the best situation, but all of our troops are quite mobile. We'll be pulling away. And of course, as per usual in a kite game, you want to be cycle charging with your cavalry to make sure that everything is, you want to make sure that the infantry is slowing down a little bit. As you can see, they will eventually catch your infantry if you don't push them back. So there we go, we do stop up these marauders. Our dark riders are able to fire in on these horsemen too. And our backpedaling is working out pretty well so far. We've taken out another unit of marauder horsemen. But these guys are still a little bit close for comfort. I'm not sure if I'm too happy about that. We also don't have a great position to throw down a breath attack either. But at the very least, we've traded pretty well so far. Our flying crossbows too will be able to start firing in on Wolfric here. And our Hydra, I guess it'll bounce in and out of this infantry for a quick second. Now chasing off, we use one of our cavalry units. Try and chase off the... Oh dear, it looks like some spears are getting caught. That's really unfortunate. It looks like we're just gonna have to sacrifice them. And, oh, I think that's a boat coming in. Maybe a burning head. Burning head. And we will manage to dodge that. Great. But we're letting a lot of our forces get caught. Definitely not optimal. And we want to be mostly just running as far as we can. The sacrifice of the spears, though, have bought us a good amount of time. And our Hydra will be able to escape. And as soon as we chase off those horsemen, we should be able to deal with those Norscan hounds too. But man, there's a lot of Norscan infantry. Still though, if we do manage to take out the mammoths, I think we'll be good. My target priority hasn't been amazing here. Same with my cycle charging, actually. We've taken a lot of damage on our on a lot of our troops here, especially the cavalry. But at the very least, we should be able to continue keeping our distance. The only worry, though, is our ammunition will continue running out. And I'm not sure if my cavalry will be able to carry the day. Oh man, those Marauder Horsemasters, too, also managed to come back from routing. And that is quite terrible. I have some cavalry chasing them, but it's not going to be a nice trade. We're going to pull our cavalry back and away, try and bring them to safety. Meanwhile, our skirmishers will continue firing at, I guess, the horsemen for Norska, as their forces have slowed down a tiny bit. And we're also going to continue trying to snipe out this shaman sorcerer. My main priority, though, is definitely these mammoths, as the mammoths are the main fighters here. And they are, yeah. If the mammoths get to engage in combat, it's generally a very bad time. So we very much want to focus them down, but these javelins are able to zone me out. But whatever damage we do manage to get in on top of them will be quite good. Looks like we are about to lose our Raven Heralds though, and pull them to a safe position. And the fact that the Norscan forces here are a little bit split up means that we can hopefully get in some more cycle charging to break them apart. An alternative win here is also if we can take out all the infantry, but that's going to be a lot harder. Of course, they're easier to fire at since they're shielding for the mammoths, but we don't really have the ammunition to do that. We're also slowly getting picked away by spells. But it looks like we still have a lot of the models for our repeater crossbows, so not all hope is lost. And of course, we also have a whole ton of fireballs that we can send down, bringing the Shaman Sorcerer to extremely low HP. And just a few more volleys, and there shouldn't be too much range left for Norska. Our cavalry really does want to be getting aggressive with their cycle charges. And we've also bought a lot of space for our infantry to escape, so all in all, things are okay, but not amazing. If you look at the balance of power too, Norska is still extremely ahead, but that can change very drastically once we get the Blackguard on top of the mammoths. As for the sorcerer, he is low enough HP where it looks like he will be routing off the map. Our Dark Riders are able to finish off these javelins too, and we do get a big buff from our murderous prowess here. We will use that to clear up some infantry and then pull away before the mammoths absolutely demolish all of my cavalry. Let's see, we are getting some pretty nice routes, but those mammoths are still extremely dangerous. But a slow and methodical advance should be able to help us out here. Once again, we want to try chasing off those Marauder horsemen. But man, we're taking a lot of javelin fire while we go there, and if our Dark Riders rout, that would be extremely bad. But with the javelins at such low counts now, I think we should be good. These Marauder horsemen too look like they're on the verge of routing, and without javelin support, we can almost just cycle charge with impunity here. That should be able to bring us the lead that we're looking for. Fireballs will be going down on infantry now. The mammoths have a bit too much life for me to really easily take them out. And the Chill of Sarntar, or not the Chill of Sarntar, but this War Hydra can get some breath attacks on these Marauders too, actually getting pretty nice damage. So we're doing okay. All of a sudden things are swinging more and more into our favor, and as the mammoths move forwards to engage my cavalry, we will be able to start pressuring the back, just trying to pull the Norskins apart. And if we can get a kill on Wulfric too, that would be quite huge. So with as the usual with the skirmishing force like this, we're continuing to push wherever our opponent is weakest, cycle charging the infantry, abusing the fact that the mammoths aren't abusing the fact that the mammoths aren't exactly great at defending large amounts of troops. They can't easily maneuver. And by taking out the infantry, we should be good. Let's see, our caster is getting caught by Wulfric though, which is not great. But we also have Wulfric, we also have him surrounded by the Blackguard. And given the fact that he's a little bit overextended here, we'll also be wheeling our cavalry, bringing in our War Hydra. And we should be able to take him out quite efficiently, just because he is alone here. But he can pull through our Blackguard, of course. But even so, this buys us the fact that this engagement happened so far away means that we can bring in our cavalry, and it's looking like a big pick on Wulfric is going to be going down. We've also gone a free pick on Marauder Berserkers without too many losses. So all in all, pretty good. We don't want to waste ammunition now though, just because Wulfric is he is quite tanky, and he's also sort of already as good as dead, given that our cavalry is here. So I think it's just better to yeah, I think it's just better to leave our range units to shoot at this more defended war shrine. We will have to pull away once again though, as the mammoths are coming. And it's just going to be catching out Wulfric now. We have cavalry in on top of him. He won't be able to easily escape. Our caster too, with her horse mount, will be able to continue chasing him. But it looks like we do actually get a terror out on the Slaaneish's harvesters. Not exactly a great situation. Wulfric is still able to actually continue pushing through, but his continued retreat here isn't really optimal because he's running away from his army anyways. So we are okay with this. We do finally catch Wulfric too, and just a big ol' surround should be able to take him out. He does get a massive hit on my caster though, and if she dies, that would be bad. A very thankful miss happens. If he had actually hit her, that would have most definitely caused a rout. And given that we have so much winds of magic, that would have been extremely painful. But a little bit of luck went a long way. Our caster lives, and we do manage to take out Wulfric. There we go, he is down. Our Dark Riders have engaged with these Marauder Horsemen. They are out of ammunition, so sending them into melee is sort of really the only choice that we have here. And from here, it's just a little bit of infantry left from Norska. So with our War Hydra, I think we should be fine. And just due to that fact, I think it's going to be okay going in for a big engagement here. Especially since Wulfric had recently died. Just sending in that War Hydra to finish up all the work here should be good. Not to mention the fact that we also have a lot of Blackguard of Nagaron here. And they do extremely well versus infantry like Berserkers and Marauders. So, yeah, from here it's just taking out the victory. But that's only if we can actually win the fight here. We also have no more cavalry. Just these Dark Rider crossbows. Big fireball miss just because of the hitboxes here. And it looks like I might have overestimated my ability to fight in a straight up fight. with my War Hydra actually getting brought down pretty low. We're going to have to retreat with that. And if it does get chased by the Mammoth, that's not the worst situation ever. It will be able to continue running away without taking too much damage. We have infantry to cycle charge here also. So it's not the worst case scenario. And it does look like we recover. War Mammoth. Oh man, moving into my cavalry right as they rampage. Definitely not a great situation. But perhaps we'll be able to pull through with the big old breath attack here. If we can clear out all of this infantry, then we get into a position where where it's just the Blackguard camping on top of the War Mammoth. And then from there, they should be able to take it out. Blackguard are quite hardy, and I don't expect them to die to the War Mammoth. There are also a lot of Berserkers here, but with that big breath attack and the charge in from the cavalry, we have a huge cavalry advantage, or we have a huge infantry advantage now against the Mammoth. And from here, we should be able to win it. My Hydra is much better versus large targets. We still have the Blackguard surrounding it, and our cavalry can cycle charge these Berserkers. Fireball 2 hits its mark, and there we go. We rout off the Mammoth. So a little bit of a dicey final engagement there. I could have dragged it on a little bit longer, but by being able to correctly read the situation, we do manage to end the game just a tiny bit faster. Ooh, so there we go. A very long kite game up against the forces of Norska here. I think we did okay. And if you look at the damage on our Dark Rider crossbows, they definitely paid for themselves. But I still think I took a bit too much damage on a few. If you look at these guys, and especially the Raven Heralds, I was playing a little bit too recklessly with them. And they, if played properly, Oh, whoops, did I put the score in wrong? I won both of the games, yeah. Whoops. Yeah, so played properly, my skirmisher should have gotten a lot more value. And also, I think my cavalry too. But nevertheless, a good game. It's gonna be GG. I think we'll be fine now. Oh. Oh, wait. Oh, he was worried about kite? Interesting. Maybe he's gonna kite me this. Now, Legion. This match is Dark Elves against Empire. Against Legion. And gone for my classic Dark Elf build. A ton of Dark Rider crossbows. We have a ton of infantry and a whole lot of cavalry. We're, oh, what the? Wait a second. Legion, where's your... He has no range. We don't need to be advancing. Instead, we're going to be playing quite defensively. Pulling back, bringing our cavalry together, and bringing our Supreme Sorceress up to begin Spirit Leeching. Our Dark Rider crossbows will be firing in onto these Pistoliers here. They can get some very devastating volleys. And, oh man, he advances and takes a whole lot of damage. That slight concave here is really what will do it. Some Knights of the Blazing Sun. Spirit Leeches are less effective versus them, but not entirely useless. It might not be worth it. Let's take a quick look. It's barely doing any damage, so you know what? Probably a bad idea to Spirit Leech those guys. Looks like we took out one model. That is an all-time low. Yes, so for those who are unaware, Knights of the Blazing Sun, they do indeed have a ton of magic resist, if I could select them. Over here, 25%, not massive, but still pretty, still quite a good amount. I also noticed that there are some silver bullets in there that we'll have to worry about. But given our infantry advantage, I think it's okay for us to simply move up and just take a frontline fight. I think our sorceress is likely about to take a huge volley of gunfire. Let's bring her over to safety and just get the infantry fight going. Spirit Leeches are also going down on my sorceress, not exactly an optimal situation. And it looks like Outriders with grenade launchers are going to be firing in onto my troops. Not great, but we can push them back with our repeater crossbows. The cavalry advantage for us also is quite great. And by getting in counter charges, that will be giving a lot of value. It's also pretty funny to see this this Amber Wizard here taking so much damage just from casting just from overcasting Spirit Leech. And yeah, if he keeps that up, he's going to be losing a lot of HP. Now, our focus fire, I guess, is going down onto these Outrider grenade launchers. We definitely want them out of the fight. We'll overcast the Spirit Leech there. We'll also bring in more infantry to fight that frontline fight. And we want to really buff up the leadership of our troops here. They're having a little bit of a rough time. And our cycle charging could also be improved a tiny bit. These silver bullets will be punishing them with these Dark Riders in the back. And if we can just push through this front line, I think we'll be good. But actually, the infantry fight is going rather terribly. We're looking for a good opportunity to throw down a Doom and Darkness also. And I guess this is sort of an okay situation. Maybe not. But if we can get some mass routs here, that would be optimal. Looks like we do manage to take out a few, get some Empire Knights on the edge of routing. But our caster is on the verge of dying now. There's not a whole ton I can do to actually save her, due to the fact that that there is a caster in the back just spamming Spirit Leech on her. So we'll just have to be getting in as many spells as we can. One major advantage that we do have here, though, is that we have all of our Dark Riders still extremely healthy. The leadership of the Empire is wavering. And we also have a pretty nice opportunity for Spirit Leech here. So all those factors combined, I think we'll be able to win the mainline fight, even though the balance of power is not looking to be in our favor. But all the cavalry is gone, and I always do say that cavalry is the main answer to massed infantry. And now that there's a mass rout on the Empire side, we simply have to run down the cavalry and we'll be good to go. Big problem though, Franz now hunting down my caster, which is very scary. But we can occupy Franz by simply running away and using our Dark Rider crossbows to put in a lot of damage on him. And man, do they put in a lot of damage to actually bring him down to 1/3 HP. And he does remaneuver to chase after my cavalry instead. So I expect this fight to go pretty badly for me, but it should stall them out long enough where we'll be able to shut down these silver bullets. As for our caster, she is quite low, but I think she should be able to stay safe. Even if another Spirit Leech comes down, she might even live too. But man, Franz is really diving in on top of her. That is quite scary. But we can keep her safe once again using our repeater crossbows. Just bringing her to the safety of them. And then, and continuing to run away. We've also shut down the silver bullets, and we've secured our infantry advantage. The balance of power is looking to be in our favor. Franz too has landed in the midst of my Dark Riders. And some shots onto Franz should be able to take him out. While our caster runs away to safety. And we should be good. Nice, a lot of the cavalry goes down. We do lose one unit of repeater crossbows though. But there's enough of them where it's no biggie that we just lose one. We don't want to lose more though, so we're going to begin pulling them apart. And then whichever unit this Knights of the Blazing Sun is chasing, we'll be focusing with the rest of the crossbows. The Knights of the Blazing Sun do turn. And then due to that, we can just begin splitting these guys up and surrounding the Knights of the Blazing Sun. They won't really be finding too many great targets. And they're low enough too, where I think our cavalry can probably just fight them. Meanwhile, Franz could move in to help in the cavalry fight, but it's a little bit too risky, given that we do have Dark Rider repeater crossbows. And now that he has indeed landed, you can see here, just some focus fire, should be able to take him out. Takes a whole ton of damage on the retreat. We've won the fight against the knights, and he's on the verge of routing. So just to really seal the deal, we'll shut down his leadership by 16 and get the win. So there we go. Yeah, this is a very standard build. Worked out pretty well. And we also did really nice. It's not Franz. Oh my gosh, it was Boris. Look, if I see a griffin, I think it's Franz. Oh dear. Anyways, embarrassing situations aside. The main thing that happened for us there is that we really punished the fact that he spent money, so much money onto Boris. Just a dude on a bird. But yeah. You can see he barely got any value. We didn't really give him any good targets. And then we used our Dark Rider repeater crossbows to get in the damage. You look at two of these guys, they almost had 2,000 damage value. Absolutely insane. Not to mention the other two got 2,500 value. That is what won us the game there. Our cavalry sort of just traded out, I believe, by the looks of it. But these guys staying alive really did it. Also, the fact that he was trying to spirit leech my lord was definitely came into play. But the fact that he never actually finished her off meant that all those winds of magic were sadly wasted. So there we go. Yeah, fun Dark Rider crossbow game. But okay, Legion is ready. We are too, and we brought an Iron Drake army against his vampire counts. Oh geez, he brought Karen Wraiths. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. But the goal for today is going to be melting down all of the infantry as quickly as possible, so that our slayers are able to kill all of the monsters and cavalry. But in this case, looking like there's not a whole ton of monsters or cavalry, and instead gonna be black coaches and the like. We also don't have too many ways to shoot up, but if we can just win this frontline fight, I think we might be okay. Slayers will do really well against Karen Wraiths too, and we also have miners with blasting charges that should do quite well. Now the first volleys are going off onto these zombies. Not exactly priority targets, but still great nonetheless. Karen Wraiths are having a little bit of a hard time engaging too. And really we just have to make sure this black coach doesn't get too much damage. The fact that we have so many of these the fact that we have so many of these Iron Drakes will make it extremely hard for our opponent to shut all of them down. And that's what we're banking on to take the victory here. Now, one of the Iron Drakes is compromised, but now they are sitting on top of Slayers. Great for dealing damage to these black coaches. The extra mass, too, be very painful for them to push through. And the sort of slow advance of the vampire counts here mean that we'll be able to get a lot of damage off with our flamethrowers. So far, going quite well. Grombrindle is holding out decently well, too. And the infantry for the counts actually is quite lacking. Let's see, there is a unit of Graveguard. Great weapons, though, that we will have to worry about. So we'll keep an eye on them, keep our infantry away from them, and try to hit them with our miners with blasting charges. These Urkund miners, too, will be just fine versus them. And if we can take out some zombies or skeletons with them, that should be just fine. The more zombies are moving in. We still have many of these Iron Drakes alive, but the Graveguard are beginning to move in. We'll want to back away from them and try and hit them with as much firepower as we possibly can. Oh man, it looks like a big AoE coming down. Purple Sun hitting my Slayers for a ton of damage. Not great, but not terrible either. Graveguard are collapsing in. We'll sacrifice a unit of Dwarf Warriors, take them out, and continue bringing in our Iron Drakes into positions where they can fire away. We have dealt with, let's see here. That unit of Graveguard is still pretty scary. And they have snuck through. But we're almost in a good position to actually get some nice flamethrower shots on them. So that's the plan. We have 2 units of Iron Drakes ready to go. And a huge volley from them should be able to seal things out. Now this Dragon Lord has dived in on Grombrindle and some Slayers. So we're shutting him down very well with Grombrindle. And a huge volley takes out a ton of Graveguard, which is great. Crypt Ghouls aren't especially scary here. Because Slayers are great versus unarmored troops. And Grombrindle here is holding out very well against this double White King. There's also one of the black coaches has also gone down. And we'll be able to melt another unit of Graveguard. Which should be good. Let's see here. This Necrarch Dragon Lord is flying in towards my Iron Drakes now, though. And we don't have a ton of Slayer support. But given how few Graveguard there are left, I think just making the final push to melt them down is all we really need here. After that, the Iron Drakes aren't especially important anymore, so we're not as worried about defending them now. Instead, we're much more worried about keeping our Slayers alive, since they are extremely important for taking out stuff like this Dragon Lord. Breath attack does come down, hits my Iron Drakes for a ton of damage, and they'll sadly likely be routing. The Graveguard too are still at pretty high HP. We'll just right click them to get a charge on my Iron Drakes, and by doing so, you can see their leadership did boost up. That's the strategy for keeping your leadership high on your units. If you have the extra micro, simply calling a charge command will boost it up. Grombrindle now is getting surrounded by some White Kings though. Dragon is coming down on top of him too, and I expect him to go down. Not the greatest situation. The fact that this black coach is healthy too is a little bit worrying. And Grombrindle is looking to be dying here, which is really unfortunate. I would have really hoped that he'd be able to make it out of this alive, just because his slow is so effective for cycle charging. But with the Longbeard support, it looks like that might actually be the case. Now meanwhile, on the left flank, we have finished off the Graveguard. Our Slayers are still relative... Actually, no, our Slayers are quite beat up. Which could be a problem, especially given the fact that the double White King is here. So we're not free yet. All of our Iron Drakes have survived, but they're not especially important here. And Grombrindle does go down. Luckily for us though, the Dwarves, well known for their impeccable leadership, will be able to stay in the fight, except for the miners of course. And as soon as we're done taking out the infantry here, it's just going to be this Dragon Lord against about 33 Slayers. They'll have a White King too. And the White King is the main problem. Does he have Scab Scrath? He does not, which is actually quite huge. This many Slayers, although it doesn't seem extremely menacing, is actually one of the scariest things that this Dragon Lord could be facing here. Turns out Slayers are so good in late game situations against large targets that they will they will likely be able to kill out this Necrarch. Necrarch? I don't know. Yeah, if he does have to land in them. So we're not too worried there. And as long as we can take out this White King too, we should be good. Now, we did throw down a huge volley of fire to take out the zombies. And that's because we wanted the zombies to be killed as quickly as possible, just so that they wouldn't dive in on our poor Slayers, who would actually take quite a bit of damage from them. This White King too, the benefits of having so many Iron Drakes, you can actually deal with single entities fairly well with them. by just staying nice and close and getting in a huge volley. But the attack does come in. Doesn't hit extremely hard. And we still have our Iron Drakes alive. Not amazing versus single entities, but decent. It is too bad though, it looks like I did put them a little bit out of position, and they will be getting compromised, but not before we manage to get our Slayers on top of the Dragon Lord. The fact that the White King is down too means that there's not a whole ton left, but oh man, I forgot. Another big spell's coming down. We tried to pull out with the best of our abilities, and it looks like we will be losing some Slayers there. Not a great situation. But nevertheless, at the very least, it means that this guy is going to be running out of Winds of Magic. So, we won't be seeing too many more Purple Suns. It's going to be on a decently long cooldown. And from here, it's just surrounding him with infantry and simply chopping him up. These Iron Drakes can try to get a volley too, if I wanted to risk it. But the risk of actually getting in friendly fire is a little bit too high, so I think I'll pass on that. Now, the Dragon Lord is quite, he's quite a beast, but there is the problem that they have recently taken a hit to their melee defense, a lot of monsters in the game. And I think maybe dragons have been hit too, maybe not. I'm not entirely sure, but nevertheless, I don't think he'll be able to take out this infantry. The damage from our Iron Drakes too is great, and they aim generally slightly high, so usually you don't have too much friendly fire unless they're very far away. So there we go. There's not much left he can do here, and he's crumbling away to the might of our Slayers. Nice. Pretty solid win, I gotta say. That felt quite decisive. We did bring a little bit of a strange build, but it paid off. We managed to take out all of those Graveguard quite easily, actually. And just looking at the damage values, pretty good. These guys especially, I think these were probably the ones that took out the Graveguard. After that was done, my infantry was not worried at all. They were in a great place, and I think it should show in the damage values. Yeah, they were pretty free to do as they wished. As for my Slayers, by keeping them safe, they were able to take fights against Black Coaches, against zombies and Crypt Ghouls, trading out pretty effectively. And they never really had to face off against Graveguard, which is why they got so little damage. So there we go. Nice win for us. Dowie Firepower.